So since I'm not a developer,
Mhm.
I go look for projects to fork and
Right.
work off of. And I check the license first because you always have to check the license.
Mhm.
GPL v3, okay, fork, do whatever you want,
Mhm.
ship it. 9 times so far, I did it like 100 times, but 9 times out of 100, not 100 times, I did it 50 times, but 9 times out of 50,
Sure.
I got people, the creators of the project, coming at me, yelling at me, "Who allowed you to take our code, fork our code, and use it?" I was like, "You did. Your license did. The GPL license they shoved on your project allowed me to do that."
Uh-huh.
They were like, "No, we thought we only added a license because GitHub requested we add a license." I'm like, "Did you read the license before?" "No, we just selected the first one available."
God. Honestly, GitHub, like, there's probably an option in there for some sort of like a source available license, but it really should be a bit higher on the list. And it should be clear, like, maybe that, like, before you even make a repo, it's like, do you want this to be source available or open source? And give you a clear definition of like the two differences. Because
I
like, I don't have an issue
even
if someone wants to be source available. Like, I think like that's stupid. You should just make it open source. But like, you have the right to make the code source available. But like, don't complain if you wanted it to be that and then you gave it the wrong license. You're like, oh well, like, stop it, stop it. You have a license.
even even if they did, the
Hmm.
problem is nobody reads.
Oh
Nobody
no,
bothers to read.
no,
You got a license that is
unless you're like a big corporate project, like it.
yeah.
What like, are you gonna like sue some random like 3-star project on GitHub? Like,
One of the people who came at me, he was like, "I'm gonna sue you till your last penny
mhm.
because you're trying to steal my project." And he had a GP. Oh, and that person had no license on their GitHub,
in
zero
that
license.
in that case, that's like the no license thing is a weird one because that's I've said before that
That's on.
I don't think GitHub should allow you to make a public repo that you have no license on. Like maybe
Yeah,
that's an
I
unpopular
agree.
opinion, but they've because no license effectively means you've made it source available, but it's not clear that that's your intention.
No license right now is looked at like I can do whatever I want. I can rename it.
Yeah.
I can take credit. I can do whatever I want.
You'd have to ask a
I
lawyer the exactly how it would be handled, but you could go with either approach, either public domain or source available. And I think both are probably reasonable interpretations, but I'm not knowledgeable
the no
enough on law
license.
to really say.
I did a little bit of digging.
Hmm.
I took example from you because one should do one's research. So I did a little bit of digging.
Hmm.
Lawyers, if you involve lawyers in a no license situation, they
Hmm.
will not touch it.
Right.
They will not touch it because it's on you. You didn't put a license.
Right.
Fuck you.
Right.
Sorry, uh, but it's like you should be responsible for your own actions.
Hmm.
So he threatened to sue. He was like, "I want to sue you. I'm gonna get the best lawyers on the case because you're trying to steal my project." I just didn't want anything to do with it. I just deleted it.
You know what you
I
should
just
do?
didn't want to go.
Send him the coordinates of the capital of Lebanon, and be like, why do you
Yeah,
send me that? Like, that's where I am. Do you want to try to do an international lawsuit?
the most costly one. Uh, but yeah, this is what's happening currently in the FOSS world. You try to. They tell you, okay, here's this GPL v3 license, fork it and use it.
Mhm.
But they don't really mean that. They just blindly select whatever license is the first choice on GitHub or
Mhm.
GitLab and call it a day. They don't really mean anything. And people are not very friendly. It's the masses are silent right now,
Mhm.
so the negative people are being heard louder.
Right.
So the people in the good area of Linux are silent right now. They're doing what they're doing. They're working on whatever they're working on. And the negative people are screaming louder and they're being heard louder.
Mhm.
So I'm not really happy with what's going on, especially which transitions very well into the Red Hat debacle.
Well, before we get to that, like I can't say I've seen anyone being like that aggressive when it comes to like project licensing, but
you're not a distro maintainer.
yeah, I'm not a
You're
distro
not a
maintainer.
distro maintainer.
I coming in from the perspective of a user who's just messing around with his code, like, but
What?
I don't like.
You're lucky enough to be in contact with a lot of good people,
Mhm.
like Vox3 and the people from what's it called? The big 16 gig ISO. What's it called? You had one of the developers of that. I forgot the name of it, but the educational one, the educational distro.
Why am I blanking on the name now? Not what? Oh, give me a sec.
You had one of the
Why am I?
GNOME.
I don't know why I'm blanking on the name. What is the project called? Endless OS. I was gonna say Elementary, but no, I always get those names confused. Endless OS.
Yeah, Endless OS. Yes, you are in contact with these people, but being a distro maintainer, I am in contact with. I go deep down into the belly of the beast, aka the Arch forums, aka the Gen 2 places, the ugliest part of the things. So I do see negativity a lot. Like, we can help you, but we don't wanna. We can help you, but we don't wanna.
I think when it comes to places like the Arch forum and the Gen 2 forum, they are very...
Or the Gen 2 IRC.
Or
IRC.
Gen 2 IRC, yeah, sure. It's not that people aren't willing to help, it's that a lot of people are not willing to deal with people who are not going to put the effort in to help themselves. Like, a recent example was with the Python virtual environment situation. So, when that change came in, for anyone who doesn't know, on Arch, Debian, Ubuntu, and a couple of other distros, you now can't use pip to install packages globally. It'll give you a warning saying that the global environment is managed externally. When this came in for Ubuntu, there was a lot of comments on Ask Ubuntu, Stack Overflow, a bunch of other places where people were posting the entire error message saying, what does this mean? Now, if you read the error message, it tells you command for command what you need to do. These people had not read the error message. They just saw an error message and then posted it. Now, a lot of people were given advice on how to fix. Now, some of that advice was really bad, like delete the error message or like use -- break system packages, both of which are really bad ideas. But in the context of Arch, you're expected to at least do that like minimal effort of like reading that error message and going through what it says there. And in the Arch case, it actually gives you a bit more information, telling you the package name you need to install to get pipx available. I think it's like Python-pipx or something like that.
Yeah.
So on Arch, you're sort of more expected to have gone through those steps yourself. It's when those people come from a distro like Ubuntu and then expect that same level of support when they're not willing to put in the effort themselves. Now, I'm sure there are absolutely people that are, just assholes for the sake of being assholes, but... And maybe those people stand out a lot as well because, they are the negative people. But at least from what I've seen, like, I've dug through mailing lists upon mailing lists, forums upon forums. Most people seem to be positive, but there are definitely going to be those bad apples.
The bad apples mostly tell you if you don't know how to use Python, just don't use it.
Sure, yeah. No, that definitely.
Or other people would say, if you don't know how to use Python, don't use a distro that uses Python.
Yes,
so
don't install Linux.
Don't install Linux.